Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Howie. Oh, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get it started. We're going to start with the Boston Celtics. Did you guys watch the All-Star game at all? That it's truly the layup line.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Jaylen Brown called it, yeah.
Did you guys watch it?
I watched it for 5 minutes and then kept it on my iPad just to see if anything big happened. And all I could see was Jason Tatum reining in shots. And I was like, well, he's going to get the MVP. So
Right.
that's not nothing.
I just watched the highlights, to see how JT got 55 points.
Yeah, look.
24 points in one quarter.
When you have your two stars combined for 90 points in any type of game, that's pretty remarkable. Guys, do you think this even moves Jason Tatum, not as a player, but psychologically, realizing that he belongs in the upper tier and that he gets to the upper tier truly if he wins a championship?
Wait. So who's on right now? Who would you say presently is in the upper tier, the top five?
Oh, well, it's Jokic, Giannis, Embiid,
KD.
Tatum, and KD. And those are the five.
Yeah, I would probably put that. Luka.
Oh, no, put LeBron's
Luka.
LeBron's not
Luka.
there anymore, right?
Yeah, 6. Yeah,
Yeah.
Luka's 6. Curry 7. I think LeBron's 8.
Oh, you don't put Steph Curry up there?
Yeah, I said Curry's in the mix. Like
He's in the
but I
top
think-
10. He's gotten old.
I think the MVP is going to come down to Jokic, Embiid, and Tatum. I think those will be the top
All right.
3.
Start the
Giannis.
Oh, Giannis.
I'm sorry, Giannis. Top 4. Yeah.
You can pick anyone to today to start a team with. Who you picking?
Oh, great question.
For how long, Timmy?
For next season.
Next season?
One season, that's it. One season, that's it.
Oh, Giannis.
Giannis.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a
I
game.
mean,
I'm
he's a
not
guy-
doing Giannis. No, I'm not doing Giannis.
Hey,
No.
you could ask all 30 PMs, and none of them would say
I agree with
Tatum.
that. I kind of forgot about Giannis there. Who's
I
next?
don't know. I saw, obviously Giannis is one of the top players, but I saw a guy that I think is on the downside of his career. I really do physically. I think he's taken a lot of punishment.
His game
Sure,
is
but-
physical.
But he can
But
literally
he's a-
carry you by himself.
He is a defensive. Just remember, he is a defensive monster. On top of being as good as he is, you can't score on the guy if he clamps down on you. Just
Yeah,
can't.
but again, you can't trust him at the free throw line. And when you're talking about superstars, and at the end of the game, and this guy's basically shooting 50% from the free throw line,
Yeah, but
that
you would
makes a
have
difference.
taken Shaq.
And he's not though,
Scotty.
Scotty. He's not shooting 50%. And when it mattered, he hits him late. I love the guy too. Like, I got a soft spot for him. The guy's fantastic.
Scotty, and the free throw thing, I would have taken Shaq in his prime over anyone at that time.
Yeah.
I like Embiid. I tell you, I think Embiid.
You know what's great? You know what's actually really cool if you think about it, though? Just think about the guys we listed. Embiid, great guy, big personality, right? Root for him. Giannis, can't root against him. Jokic, great guy, just wants to play basketball. Tatum's a good dude.
Steph Curry.
Curry's a good dude, right? Steph
Luka.
Curry's a good dude. Luka seems to be a good dude. LeBron, by the way, for all that freaking hate, LeBron's like upstanding citizen, right? KD can be a kind of a worm, right? But he just wants to play basketball. Like, you talking about like the top 7, 8 guys in the NBA, good dudes, never had a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And the NBA markets them correctly.
I can't root against those guys. I really
They
don't.
all completely stay out of trouble.
They're just fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're under the spotlight. They're under the magnifying glass.
All the
Everything
time.
They do.
All the time, these guys.
Yeah,
Right?
they can't walk through a crowd unnoticed.
No.
That is
No.
foot.
They can't
Remember-
just put like a pair of sunglasses and a hat on and not be.
But you talk those top 8 guys, and the worst things that any of those 8 guys did was LeBron did the stupid decision, right? And
Yeah.
KD, gets a little bit sort of wormy every once in a while. But that's it. Your top 8 players, and not one of these guys that got jammed up for anything.
Yeah. Can you say that about the NFL? Probably never.
No.
Right? You know.
No.
Aaron Rodgers is an asshole.
Right.
Right. Exactly. No
The
one likes
guy on
that
the
guy.
cover of Madden once was a guy who had a double homicide rap
Yeah.
in Lewis.
Right.
And probably killed 3 or 4 more.
I know.
Think of it, other than Curry, right? Curry might be able to disguise himself, but other than that, they're all like 6'7" or above. I mean, they just stick
Yeah.
out everywhere they go.
But also incredible shape too, Timmy. I mean, these
Yeah.
guys are. I mean,
Take care of themselves all year long. Yeah, Scotty, to your point, like I think it checked the box. I think the All-Star MVP checked the box and he's moved on. Like it's just a box. Good for him.
Get back to okay.
Yeah, it was big for him because he was, remember, his shoe dropped this week. The marketers were all over him. Get out there and rain the threes.
Who are you picking next after Giannis then?
Embiid.
I would actually take
Jokic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I might take Luka.
Yeah.
Maybe. Here's the thing, like
I don't think Luka has the defense that Tatum has.
he doesn't. Nowhere near. It's a great point, Timmy. And by the way, the other thing that Luka's never done, he's never come into the season in absolute tip-top condition. Like you look at Tatum, and that dude, he played so much basketball last year, and he showed up ready to play another 82 games.
Yeah, Luka could look a little doughy.
I think Luka likes to drink a little bit. Wine, beer, whatever you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's nowhere near the defensive player that Tatum's defense is so underrated.
Well, they've seen videos of him, at lunch before a game, having a couple of pops, having some big dinner, lunch. So yeah, Luka likes the lifestyle, but pure talent, who would you take? In pure, simple talent of all that group.
Just pure talent?
Pure
I mean,
talent.
I would take Giannis because of just his combination of size and speed, and he's not the offensive player that Tatum is or Jokic is, but he's just, when he's healthy, he's just unstoppable.
You can defend Tatum, double Tatum, and you stop him. Double Giannis, and you're only starting.
All right, where does Jaylen Brown sit? Top 15?
Yeah, 15 to 20.
15 to 20, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good though, right?
Pretty good. And if he gets
two.
in the top 15, remember, if he gets a third team All NBA, we can sign that guy for 5 years and we have no more of this controversy.
Okay, speaking of contracts, Missoula gets the interim tag taken off, gets a multi-year extension. Obviously, they're very happy with him. That was kind of an interesting situation where clearly they cut ties with Udoka and committed to Missoula at the same time. I think it was a bigger story than got the play for.
Do you think they had to write Udoka a check?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
probably.
What kind of check? A check beyond his contract?
No.
And remember, they suspended him without pay, right? Didn't they?
Yeah.
So I think they probably just paid him. Like, hey, we'll give you your year's salary and you can walk. Like, we're not going to not pay you. And there you go.
It was the right thing to do because you can't go into the playoffs with that interim tag. You got to give Missoula, a little backup. You got to give them the head coach title. Let them tell the players what to do now that you get into the playoffs.
Is Udoka poison now?
No, he's probably going to have that Atlanta Hawks job now.
He's going to get the Atlanta Hawks job.
Was that the rumor?
He's and that Quinn, what's his name?
Snyder.
Snyder, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, the way the Hawks GM described what they want their next coach to do, he wants him to get him into the top 10 in offense and defense and be a good player development guy. That's what Ime does.
Okay, all being even and none of the monkey business that Udoka's been accused of, who would we rather coach the Celtics right now, Udoka or Missoula?
I'd take Udoka.
Yeah, I'm no expert on it, but I liked Udoka's results. I got to wait and see on Missoula.
Yeah.
Right now, Joe, you had to take one. You take Udoka?
Oh, I suppose you stuck a gun to my head. Yeah, but I'd like to see what Missoula can do. We haven't seen. We would have fired, given this same question a year ago, you probably would have said who put Brad back in charge.
Right.
Yeah,
Gus?
I would give it very slight edge to Missoula, mainly because I just think our offense is much better this year under Missoula. I think his system is just better for these guys. They're
But
playing
Russ,
much more free.
do you think that they were able to start working on the offense because they got the defense, because Udoka got the defense straightened out?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's building on the shoulders of what Udoka did for sure. I'm not arguing that, but I just think like they have much more freedom offensively than they did. And now obviously they do have Brogdon, right? So,
Right.
But I just see a lot more actions that have Brown and Tatum in it. You see these guys screening for each other. You never saw that with Udoka. I just think Missoula just gives them a lot of freedom offensively, and you could see it. They push the pace is much better. They are pushing the ball much more all year long, which I love.
Well, I think a full season would D White sure as help too. I mean, I think he's been a revelation.
Well, D. White and Brogdon are great when you're forced into the half court. They look great in that 5-out offense that Missoula likes.
Yep.
Also,
And you
bring
like
up Tatum and Brown.
like the Smart just had all that time off to rest up too, because he's usually
Well, Smart's good, much better as an off the ball guard. Give him the title point guard, just don't let him do it. You just have him play over on the strong side, you know?
If Marcus Smart's a guy who's just not going to play more than 60 games in a regular season.
He's a great transition player, defender, and transition offense. But when the offense slows down, that's when Marcus kind of checks out.
We haven't had.
That's through no fault of Smart. His compete level is not.
It's just not his game in the half court.
Yeah,
Do you remember one game this season where we were at the end of a game, we're like, I can't believe Marcus took that shot. I don't recall one part that we had, and we had that.
I always say
played a lot either.
There's at least one play per game where it looks like someone shot him, stabbed him, and lit him on fire, and you can't believe he's getting up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, look, they've done a great job with as far as the time management of Horford. You've given Brown some time. They got to give Tatum some time before the regular season ends, don't you think?
He wants to play. He wants to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best player in the team gets his way usually.
So
but I know you've said that a lot, and I actually do think that's just mainly right, Joe. But like some guys are built to play a lot. Like you think about what John Havlicek used to do, and that guy used to play 40 minutes every freaking night.
48
right?
minutes.
So yeah. So like, you don't want. So the answer to your question is, Scotty, yes, they got to get Tatum some minutes. But I don't think I think to Joe's point or Timmy's point, he just wants to play, and I don't think you're going to be able to sit him a lot.
Yeah.
But he has a history in the bubble. Got tired. He was exhausted in the bubble, which of course taking it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. By the time he got to the finals, exhausted. I mean, there's a pattern here. He may want to play, but you got to rein him in a little bit.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
but maybe now that Missoula is the head coach, he can take him aside and say, "Look, Jason, here's some film of you at this point in the season and at this point. Why don't we ratchet things back a bit?"
Look, I mean, the Celtics in the 80s, they tried to, sit these guys as much as possible during the course of their career. And still, the McHale's and the Birds injuries.
It's no guarantee. It's no guarantee. Look, injury's a guy falls on your leg and you sprain your MCL. I don't care. That has nothing to do with rest. Now, I do think the big thing that happened before the break was that Hauser started playing better. And then you could play him. He's your main guy for Tatum and Brown, right? If you can play Hauser 15 or 20 minutes a night, that's 15 or 20 minutes that Tatum and Brown aren't playing.
Yeah. Well, and the Moose.
That's a position you play.
The Moose is going to get some time, right?
Yeah.
And Moose will get some time, and he'll take a load off of Horford and some off of Williams, and maybe a little bit off of Tatum. And
just see the other night, he'd never in his 8 years career, he'd never played more than 30 minutes in a game. And the other night in his first game with the Celtics, he plays more than 40. And he was averaging less than 20.
I've not remembered a guy who came in mid-season and just kind of integrated into the team, into the city, like almost instantly. This guy seems like he's been in Celtic
Bad
forever.
looking shoes though.
How good were these other teams that he wasn't getting more time?
Well, he has played a lot in the past. Like he's had, he was on OKC, and I don't think OKC's really, going for it or anything like that. So I don't know. Like he played a lot
Embiid was ahead
back
of him in Philly.
back in the day in Atlanta. So he's not going to. By the way, guys, like he's going to play in the playoffs only if they really need an injection of shooting and energy. He's not going to be in your top 7 or 8 guys. I don't care how well he shoots.
No,
He can't. I mean, there are times where the dude can't defend. When Ja was picking on him in that Memphis Grizzly game, that was hard to watch.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And the rumors maybe that Will Barton's coming here. Does it even matter?
Again, it would only be under injury that he'd be seeing a lot of time in the playoffs.
If he could take 5 minutes a game from those guys, to your point, Scotty, then why not? Right? If he's good with it, then he's not going to bitch and moan about it. Then great, why not?
Yeah. Short money. Well, how do you go wrong?
Right.
Yeah. Look, speaking of short, there's nothing short of a title right now this season. Everything else, would be a disaster. As far as
well, I don't think it's a disaster. Look, if they lose, what if they lost an epic 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals to Giannis and the Bucks? Is that a disaster? That would bum me out. I don't think it's a disaster.
I don't know. I mean,
well, if Middleton,
and I thought the West was a bunch of patsies until the trade deadline, and then all of a sudden, the West stocked up. Now Phoenix and both LA teams look like they're loaded. Give you trouble.
Yeah, well, they're going to get, the team that comes out of there is going to be awful exhausted because, like you said, Joe, there's a lot of good teams.
They loaded up like crazy at the trade deadline. The balance of power almost shifted.
Yeah, it feels like it, right?
Remember, like
Milwaukee's is the stuff.
Milwaukee's got the same number of losses as us guys.
Yeah.
Like we're not. It's not like we're running away with it. Now the Bruins, and we'll talk about them later.
Giannis isn't going to be playing the next week or two, though.
Yeah, so this is a chance for us to put 3 games between us and them. That would be great.
You want to go to the Bruins, Russ? We're more than happy to do that right now. We did that last week and we'll go to the Bruins.
Up to you. You're the host of this
guy. I've never seen you
Trade
guys.
Deadline.
I'm more excited about the Bruins, and you guys are pretty much watching every game, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Which is not normal for a regular season. You guys didn't watch every game.
Oh yeah, but Ottawa, they've always had trouble with, and they had no trouble the other afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, and they've had trouble the last couple of years with them.
Look, hottest ticket in town.
Lots of rumors about them picking up a defenseman. I mean, they're going to make a move. I mean,
but they got to get rid of salary first. They were up against the salary cap, but it's a hard cap. They have to get rid of someone, so they might have to give a draft pick for someone to take Smith.
Yeah, so Smith looks like the guy that's going out the door.
But no one wants him. He's already been on waivers twice this year, and no one took him. So you're going to have to give a draft pick for someone to swallow him.
Do you guys mind to get rid of draft picks and prospects and just kind of, are we pushing
all in? Win a cup.
This is pushing all in, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like we've talked about this, Timmy. If you could get that defenseman from Arizona and you had to give up Lysell for a guy who signed for like 2-3 more years and young defenseman and could add to Lindholm and McAvoy, I would do that.
Lysell is a real unknown right now, and this is, if you're ever going to do it, this is the year.
Right.
And then Hampus deal would prove that to be correct, because I mean he's worked out incredibly, and now they got him signed for what, 7
We're talking early 70s Bruins category with this team right now.
They have twice as many, so their plus minus is twice the next team in the NBA, in the NHL.
Yeah,
their plus minus is plus 92. I think the next best is plus 40. They've literally doubled the next best team in the NBA in plus minus.
I mean,
they're threatening the records of Tampa Bay of what was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep, they're on pace.
could anyone have foreseen that they would be not? I mean, obviously nobody could have foreseen this level, but that they would be the best team in hockey come to March, the
No.
best team by far.
I didn't understand why there was so much pessimism about them. I have to admit, but I didn't think they'd be this good. But I thought they'd, I didn't see why they wouldn't be pretty good.
Well, people were pretty pessimistic, mostly about Sweeney's moves and the coaching change. And as it turned out, all of Sweeney's moves have come up golden. Olmark, Vasha, they're all looking pretty good. Monty, they all look good.
I mean, I think the thing that's surprising, and Tim could probably we have the second most goals in the NHL. Like, when does that ever happen with the Bruins?
Right.
I think that coaching decision was a good decision. I mean,
Right.
I'm sure the defensemen love it.
Like he unlocked the keys. He unlocked the door to something.
He let the defensemen play offense. That's what it is.
We said the same thing when they got rid of the last coach too.
Yeah.
Jim Montgomery has pushed all the right buttons, right?
He sure has. Yeah, you can't. You can't, I find it really hard. Every once in a while, I'll turn on one of the NBC Sports, whatever, and you'll see these guys just picking away at there's nothing bad to say about the Bruins, right? I guess you could say, well, they need another defenseman, or Taylor Hall is not scoring at a level in which, but there's nothing. How do you pick apart a team like this?
Even both goaltenders are doing well, not just one, both.
Look, it was just a situation. Montgomery was a promising coach, and then am I right? And then had problems with alcoholism, and then had to take care of that as best he could. And then, so the Bruins are kind of fortunate to get a guy who had such great promise that's living up to it.
Sure did. They sure are. Yeah. What do you think the key will be in the playoffs once we get there? What's the key?
Well,
Just goaltending?
Number one goal.
It's always goaltending, right? So we need Ullmark or Swayman to go on a heater, basically. Right?
You rarely see a team win the Stanley Cup that doesn't have a red hot goal.
Yeah.
That's number one.
I think it's health. I think it's health with both teams, both the Celtics and the Bruins. I mean,
you don't even know these guys are hurt.
Yeah, the playoffs are a battle of attrition. We see guys drop by the wayside, and the team that stays healthiest the longest usually wins.
I am amazed, that these guys can even endure what they have to go through to get to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, it is a marathon added to a marathon added to a marathon.
They have to win 16 games.
Yeah,
16.
Diving in front of 100-mile-an-hour slap shots and just the punishment is staggering.
So Sweeney's moves for obviously the top six, but also depth. So with the idea that you get in the playoffs, you're able to plug and play.
Wait, so I'm looking here at this Jacob Churchin, that Coyotes sat healthy scratch for trade-related purposes.
Yeah.
Well, he's been a lot of guys every week for months.
Yeah, a lot of them are getting stat right now. You don't
Same
want
with Gavrikov down in Columbus. He's been held out for the last 2 or 3 games.
Well, he was rumored to be going to the Bruins, and I guess it was a phony rumor because they said it was for a first and a third.
Yeah,
Smith.
Well, yeah. Well, no, they got to send a 3-team deal. You got to send Smith to Carolina with the draft pick, so that you have room to take Gavrikov back, and you send picks to Columbus for him.
So Sweeney basically seems to have just one move, right? He doesn't really have a whole. There aren't going to be two.
Doesn't have any wiggle room, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he's just got one move. And I know Timmy wants a big, hulking defenseman. I just say, just get the best player you can get with the assets you have, and get backup. But if Forbert goes out, then you're kind of stuck, right?
He's your big, strong defenseman. The rest of them, not so much.
Right.
So who goes? You added defenseman. Who goes out of the rotation?
Oh, I think Grizzly gets moved
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
A great skater, great puck mover. We just, the playoffs are a different animal.
Yeah.
You might want to keep him on the power play though.
Someone where
Yeah,
his
but he doesn't really-
size can't be exploited.
Right. He doesn't really. He's not really playing a lot of point guard on the power play, is he? Isn't
No,
he?
just the second team. He's the second team.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's got the skills for that.
Yeah, I'm with Tim. I
Yeah.
think if you get a defenseman, you'll move Grizzlick down. Somebody's getting hurt though, guys. We're gonna need 7 or 8
Paolo
defensemen.
always gets hurt every
Right.
playoffs.
Well, the
Exactly.
concussions, right, is definitely an issue.
Yeah.
for-
And the other teams know that, and they throw an elbow at his head, and it does the trick.
and it's
Yeah.
sweet. Well, that's it's going to be what, a week from today?
The trade deadline is a week from
Today or
think,
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
something like that.
I think
Yeah.
they will do something. I am
Yeah.
99%
Oh, yeah.
sure they will. They're not gonna. They're looking at this just like we're looking at it, guys.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
this
they do something the next day or two, too. I don't think.
Yeah,
they'll-
and I'm sure management is saying the fans want something, so no matter what, you give them something.
Yeah, it's going to be very.
Even if it's a sideways move, give them something.
It's going to be very fun at the Garden, hopefully this spring. All right, we have to go to the train wreck that the Red Sox. They started spring training this week. Look, Alex Cora, he doesn't speak that positive about the team, but who he really rips on a constant basis is Alex Verdugo. He can't stop himself. Verdugo, who, when he saw John Henry, said he'd like an extension. What's Verdugo's future with the Red Sox?
What do they got to
Well,
replace?
Yeah, that's a great
He's
question.
still their best outfielder.
Everyone's job is solid until they get someone they can replace you with.
yeah.
He's
I
so
think
average.
I think his future, unless he hits 20 home runs, I think his future is pretty limited. Like you got at some point in time, you got to produce. You can't, I don't think he's a fourth outfielder, which when he's bad, he's the fourth outfielder. But when he's good, he's sort of a set. I think he's like a third and a half outfielder. Like he
Right.
could start, but you'd want him in a good lineup where he's not the fifth hitter or whatever the hell he's going to be in this lineup.
And now you got him in right field because the guy you picked up, Yoshida, is, I guess, a horrible fielder.
Yeah, it's got
Can only
Cora,
play
like,
left.
Speaking of Yoshida, I love that Mr. Yoshida's teriyaki sauce, by the way. They're talking like I heard some stuff on the radio that like general managers are laughing at the money that the Red Sox paid him. Like he's worth about a fourth of that is the word on the street. And Cora is already like not even mentioning him as a leadoff. And when we got him, he was supposed to be like the leadoff guy, right?
Got to see if he hits.
Well, like Russ said, I mean, the guy can't play the outfield that well. I mean, that's one of the tools you would have thought he would have had in his bag for as much money as they put in out there. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, if he's a bust, there's no question Chaim Bloom's out of here.
What is Yoshida making, like 18 million?
It was 5 years at 90 million, plus they had to give like
15 million posted.
So you take that money and you add like another $10 million contract. That's a superstar, right?
Yeah, so you put it all in
superstar for 30 million.
It's the expenditure is over 20 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, add some regular dude on there, and that gives you one superstar, right?
Look, they were behind the 8 ball. The prospects, they haven't developed outfield prospects. The guys like Duran haven't come through. So that they're behind the 8 ball, and they had to go get a guy from Japan and roll the dice.
Reading the market incorrectly once again. They're late to the dance every time.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe they thought Duran was going to be the starting center fielder for the Red Sox probably this year. Wouldn't you agree?
That would make sense.
That was their plans.
That was the plan, right? That he was going to be your leadoff guy with a little pop, 10, 15 home runs a year, lots of speed. Who knew that he was James Young?
A buffoon.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the problem. Is you at some point you have to, even though with the Boston Red Sox, you have to depend on these prospects coming up there and actually becoming starters and contributing players, and we're not seeing any of that.
So who gets the blame for that?
Well, I mean, it has to be Heim. I mean, he's been around here for what, 3 years now.
Is it just terrible evaluation?
Yeah, I mean, just again, and we'll talk about it. Just not great attention to detail. The Noah Song thing, whether Russ, you want to take the ball in this? The Noah Song thing, whether he becomes a pitcher or never pitches in the major leagues, he screwed that up.
He screwed that up royally. Like, his management of the 40-man roster has been just every week. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Every week we come on Wednesday night, and we talk about another move where he mismanaged the 40-man roster. And this is another chance. They could have added Song to the 40-man roster, put him on a military service list, which takes him out of Rule 5 eligibility.
Yeah.
Right. So you're just parking him there. And then if he gets off the military service list, then you just have to add him to the 40-man roster. And
There's nothing to lose, right, Russ? There was nothing to lose. There was
nothing to lose until he's eligible to pitch. So maybe we could have caught Ryan Brazier or whatever the hell, however you pronounce his last name at that point in time. Who are you going to bet on, Noah Song or Ryan Brazier?
Yeah, well, you're going to you want to continue to develop Noah Song. I mean, that's why you have a farm system.
And you have had guys like Hosmer, Darwinson Hernandez, Matt Barnes that you were getting rid of, taking up space on that 40 that prospects could have been on, and you could have saved. Didn't we lose another Rule 5 guy? Scotty, you would know.
Right. No, right. Yeah, we lost the Ward kid. I mean, we lost another kid too. Now,
that was 2 guys that should have been on the 40, and you wouldn't have lost them.
I mean,
this dum-dum has literally tied his GM job to Ryan Brazier, because he's cut Barnes. Brazier's on that 40-man roster over Barnes, Thad Ward. There was another couple guys, and now Noah Song. Is that the ship you want to go down with, Chaim? Because, by the way, if Brazier sucks this year, I think that's a fireable offense. That's a misevaluation.
Yeah. I mean, everybody in Red Sox Nation, that anytime they're ready to cut someone, they're like, is it time for Brazier to go? And it never is. Look, Sam Kennedy yesterday wasn't exactly throwing bouquets Heim's way, said Heim's job is not, in jeopardy right now. Not, Heim's, our guy, and, we're going to sink or swim with him. I think that if the Red Sox play poorly the first half of the season before the All-Star break, he gets fired.
You think they give him that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'd take him out. You'd want to take him out in June, because you'd want to give the new GM, at least a month to figure out how to deal with the trade deadline, right?
Yeah,
so you take him out in June.
Yeah. And also the rest of them, I know, you have a relative in Halloran, Timmy, but all of them go, because when we talk about those procedural things, that's where your assistant GM and all these guys need to be doing this stuff too.
That's where I'm a little surprised, because Brian is like a maniac about all of this stuff that is happening. Like, I find it hard to believe. Like, he was brought in. He was that guy that could find the comma or the word in the contract that had to be corrected, right? The guy is a maniac about detail and salary cap. Like, he's a brainiac, that's why he was brought on. He's like the guy who's looking at things that no one's looking at, right? I'm shocked that this is happening on his watch.
Look, we were brought up with
happening. I can't imagine that Noah Song, like, he wouldn't be saying, hey, like, this kid, we got to do this. And I can't imagine that getting by Brian Howard.
Well, it did get by him. It got by all of them. I mean, that's just what happened.
All four GMs.
Are they bringing up and I'm saying no?
Yeah, I think, Timmy, that's the easiest explanation is Brian Halloran didn't get stupid overnight.
Oh,
but he's not. He doesn't. Heim's not. Heim's making the decisions, and Heim's making. He's going to sink or swim with these decisions.
I guarantee you, I know Brian. There's no way that this crap he's not noticing it. He's not that guy. So, like Russell said, he didn't get stupid over. He's a guy that knows all of this stuff, like 10 times more than any of us. He knows everyone, everything, where they are. This just does. He knows this stuff. This isn't sliding by him. I guarantee you that.
Well,
Yep.
we were brought up with Fisk and Burlinson not getting contracts in time and being, so we understand, right? The attention to detail. We learned that.
And that secretary still kept her job.
Yeah, right. So we got, get it post dated, go to the post office and just have someone take, Joe.
Yeah.
You have 3 days.
Just fix that stamp.
Exactly. So this kind of feels like Russ, like that, right? This is kind of feels like
It
that.
does.
Oh yeah,
Sharing
administrative failures.
What I mean that.
Yep.
In this day and age, we can't stand for it. And Timmy, Brian Halloran has to pay for this. So when Heim goes, I don't think you can put Halloran in the top spot.
I don't know if he's a top spot guy.
Well, right now he's the general manager, right?
But that doesn't seem to count for anything these days. If I mention the name Brian Halloran in the general public, no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
No.
Right? If you tell a pretty diehard Red Sox fan, Brian Halloran, they probably don't even know who he is. Right?
And he has the GM title, right?
He has the GM title. I mean, he has the Theo title. I mean, Lucchino used to be in the background and he'd pipe up every now and then, but it was Theo before, right? That position has completely changed around now.
Does Sam Kennedy get axed too if Heim goes?
No, I don't think so. They're
He's
not going to
not
hang
gonna.
this on him. Yeah, they're not going to hang this on him.
Yes,
Heim is easy to hang it on. Like, I mean, you got a Patsy. You have no one who you need to be loyal to. He's not been part of the organization.
Yeah, he's
forever.
from outside. He's an outside.
Yeah. So I mean, look,
Well,
my hope is I would love to see them can him and end up with Cora as the GM. I think Cora would be a fantastic GM for this team.
Decided to, but is it GM or president of baseball operations?
Whatever it is, the guy making the decisions.
Yeah.
Sam Kennedy's president.
Okay, so what is
Halloran is the GM. And Heim is the head of baseball operations.
right.
So
That's
he's
what
in
Larry
charge.
Lucchino, was that what Larry Lucchino was too, right?
No, that was
Lucchino
Dombrowski
president.
was.
Yeah.
Dombrowski was.
Yeah.
Lucchino was Sam Kennedy.
Yeah. Right.
So
He was president. That's
so
right.
between Theo and Dombrowski, the job kind of changed. The title and the job kind of changed.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Theo
Well,
was,
I don't think Heim has as much power as Dombrowski or Theo or even Ben Sherrington had, because they've got the Halloran and the other three vice presidents all crammed there. Remember, there was 4 of them vying for the job, and then he brought in Heim. So they all made them all GMs and vice presidents. They have to delegate a little something for those guys to do.
Well, opening day is March 30th against the Orioles at Fenway Park. Maybe you heard of the place. And I'm telling you, they lose that game, and it's going to be ugly. No, really. I mean,
you before it was if they didn't make it out of April.
No, but I'm saying, I'm
now
just
it's
telling you,
opening day.
it's going to be ugly, though. It's going to be ugly, and and if they get down like 8-2, by the time the 7th inning, there'll be like 300 drunken assholes in the place, and good luck.
It's a day game, I'm sure, too.
I mean, look, they don't have any room, and even Sam Kennedy has said that. Sam Kennedy said that sales for tickets have gone up like 4.5% to 5%. Do you believe him?
No, I mean, look, between him and John Henry's ridiculous responses to email questions this week, they embarrass themselves. The Red Sox organization is just embarrassing themselves regularly at this point.
They're just sticking their head in the sand and ignoring everything that's going on.
Timmy, what was the point of saying, correct or not, that sales are up?
I don't know what they say over there anymore. it's like they're living in fantasy land. I mean,
I know, right?
you have to back that up with facts. I mean, if it's a lie, it's gonna get shown eventually, right? I mean,
They're
I
they're
think
trying to
all
gaslight us.
salesmen say everything's looking good. You want to pump the product up,
yeah. But if some Globe reporter is gonna go in and access that information, you're just gonna be made to look like a liar, right?
We know that they were paper in the house big time last season, and they were, giving the college student $5.
That $5 student ticket. I mean, those September games, that's all that was there. It looked like there was no one under the, over the age of 22.
I know. Yeah, I wouldn't know because I wasn't at one September game. I think maybe Joe is our representative for the seats.
Believe me, and the whole section was empty all the time.
It's good. We have lots of room to spread out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let you sell tickets below $6, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, they wouldn't let you do.
Because then they'd be undercutting themselves. So the students wouldn't go pay the $5.
So you could trade a can of Budweiser out in front of the stadium for a ticket.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Our buddy Peter, he wasn't very busy during the season, was he?
Oh,
No.
Most of the time when we'd see him, right, he'd pretty much that would be it. He couldn't stop talking to us because he had nothing else to do.
Mhm.
All right, boys, we got to go to the Patriots, and so much talk. First of all, Matthew Slater's back. I think I think Matthew Slater still plays a pretty important role in special teams, and obviously in the locker room, he's priceless.
I thought they should just make him like team chaplain or something along those lines.
What's that?
How old?
Mid to late
30s.
30s, I think.
That'd be 37, right? He's 16 years.
Yeah.
His father, who's a Hall of Famer, Jackie, what did he play? 20 years?
Mhm.
He was offensive lineman, so.
But still, 20 years, Joe. I don't know how many NFL players have played 20 years. I don't know.
Well, he's only out there for special teams too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Did he ever? If you remember,
And he's always been a gunner. He's not mixing it up with the big fellas.
when things were going bad as far as defensive back injuries at the end of the season, did he ever get in there?
I don't
No,
ever.
I think he's only played receiver.
Right.
I think he's only got one catch in his career.
Yeah, I think he has one catch. Yep.
Yeah. But and now talk of McCourty coming back. Are we doing that again?
Oh,
Well, to Tim's point, you got to have a replacement, right? So, like, it's one less thing you have to draft for. I mean, I would rather have them sign McCourty and go draft players at key other positions.
Mac. So the Mac controversy, Kraft goes on Fox and says I don't know why he's on Fox News talking about his quarterback, but whatever.
Well, did he sound like he had a few, Scott?
I don't know, but he said he's very happy with Mac Jones as quarterback. So all these rumors and stuff, does it matter?
Wait, can I interject here? Is it me, or when Bob Kraft gets interviewed, does it look like he might have had a couple?
He's getting a little old, a little longer. He's well into his 80s now.
Or would you say he typically looks like he's had a few?
I'm sure he enjoys drinks
A glass of wine now
during
and
the
again.
course of the day, and we know he has great access to it. I can imagine the expensive stuff that he drinks, though.
It's not the Mogan David.
Oh no!
Mad Dog 2020.
So since the season ended, fellas, he seems to have played a huge role, more than we've seen in a long time. Obviously, since the Tom Brady era. Is this by design?
Yeah, I think my guess is that the ownership stepped in, and I think, as Greg Bedard put it recently, we're gonna try to help Bill across the finish line here, right? I think it's a good way of saying it. Like, he's not dreadful. He's still one of the top coaches in the NFL, I would think.
Yeah.
But hasn't been making good decisions.
And then how much say does Bill Belichick have with player personnel now with this kid Bro? Do you think
I think a lot. I mean, I think a lot.
Oh, still
do?
the final say.
You
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Oh, he
standing
probably
on-
goes with Grove's suggestions, just like he went with Casario's
You have to
suggestions
delegate.
for
You
the
have
most
to
part.
delegate a
But if
lot of
he-
that. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
depend. You can't be everywhere at once. You have to depend on
Yeah.
people.
He can't
Opinion.
scout colleges, for the draft. That has to be almost 99% other people. You'll just take, reading what other people are reporting to you.
Do you believe at the very least that they are saying, okay, we're not shopping Mac Jones, but give us an offer and we'll consider it?
That's a good question, Scott. I mean,
I think you have to have someone in place of him before you deal him.
Would they be willing to go into the season with Zappy?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
You would need a plan B, okay.
Who would
you go
Zappy's
into
backup
this-
be?
Yeah, if you go into the season with somebody with another potential starter, maybe, along with Zappy, but you're gonna stake your claim with Bill O'Brien to Bailey Zappy being your starting quarterback? No.
do you think they're chatting with
insane.
Mac at this time and talking about his I'm not sure of the word, his behavior,
Attitude?
his
Yeah.
attitude, his behavior,
Yeah.
his there's a word for it, his whatever, his just the way he comes off.
Way he goes about carries himself. Yeah, he carries himself in a
Yeah,
very
so-
unprofessional manner.
My issue with all the rumors and everything is aren't you selling Mac at a low point? You'd be selling really low on Mac.
Russ.
I mean, the most obvious thing to do, it's his third year in the league. He's got a new offensive coordinator. Go out, try to have him have a great year, or at least a very good year, and then you can make your decision whether this is the guy you want to tie your future to. If not, then you could probably get a first-round pick for him.
I mean, how much of his bad season had to do with Matt Patricia and Judge?
I think it was mostly on him. He had a bad, if you look at the stats, he had the lowest quarterback rating in the entire league under pressure. And he wasn't under pressure as much as most of the league. They were above average in keeping pressure off him. And he was, what his quarterback rating was under pressure? 4.1. 4.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. Look,
No one else was even
If you're
close.
looking
To
at that, are you looking around for a new guy?
look, if a
They
team's
might
going,
be.
look, we have the 14th pick in the draft. If a team in the teens or in the low 20s would give you their pick for Mac Jones, you could quite possibly package those and move up to maybe one. Could you get Bryce Young?
No,
No, you
not for
need more
those
than
two.
that.
Not for 2 mid-round picks. No.
No.
I just think they're too far back to get the first pick. You'd have to trade complete drafts to get up.
Yeah. That's what it costs you these days.
It would
Could you
be
get
Mac Young, your first, next year's first, and next year's second.
Yeah, something like that. You'd have to really sort of wow them, I think, at that point. And unless that team thought that Mac was still a high-end player, but based on last year, I just don't see that many teams who would imagine him being a top 5 to 10 quarterback.
And Bryce Young right now is not a consensus number one pick, they're saying.
Pretty
He is
small,
kind of short. Yeah.
kind of small. I get those guys. How long is he going to last? That's my
The
question.
only short guy I can remember really doing well in the modern era, anyways, is Flutie.
Well,
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think though?
Go
ahead, Russ.
I like the kid Stroud. If I was going to go up get somebody, I'd go up get that Ohio
Kid
State
from Ohio
quarterback.
State. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently
He's a big
the
dude.
Cowboys like him a lot too. And
Yeah.
there was talk that they might be willing to get rid of Dak Prescott if they can get
Yeah,
Stroud.
but he's got a big salary attached to his
Yeah.
name. Like at least
He's
Mac
top
doesn't have a
3.
big salary, right?
But what don't you think that if you're going to commit to Mac Jones, this is where I'm hesitant to think that he's your starting quarterback for sure. Wouldn't you do some marketing campaign if you're the Patriots, kind of try to
The pump and
rebrand
dump,
him a
you
little
mean?
bit with the public?
Yeah, I don't know. But they really haven't done a lot of that in the past, though, Scotty, have they? I mean, it's just not their way of doing stuff.
Well, I mean,
I don't think they're gonna dump him, why
I
then
don't think they are
start
either.
fresh, and you'd have to, and it's another 2 or 3 years before you
Yeah.
get the next guy up to the speed you want.
so then why
I think
doesn't
that's
Bill
right.
come out and say, I want to quash, or even O'Brien, I want to quash all these rumors and all this noise.
But that's not how
Because
they do
would listen.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they've never done business like that. Like they've never given guys starting jobs other than Brady before the year started. I don't have a problem with how the Patriots are handling this. Like, come in, prove yourself.
yeah.
We have a backup that maybe we could develop. Maybe they'll draft I'd love to see them draft a quarterback in like the 4th round, an athletic quarterback, 4th, 5th round, somebody maybe to develop, and say to Mac, you got to earn your job. And if, by the way, if Bailey Zappi's better than you in practice and exhibition games, and you stink by the 4th game, we don't owe you anything.
The honeymoon's over with Mac.
Well,
Absolutely.
most of Mac's problem last year was he thought he had inherited a lifetime position, and was acting.
Scotty, you were like the biggest Mac Jones fan there was, and you've turned really like you sound like you're like, let's get rid of this guy now while he's still worth something. Is that where you are?
Look, I have to be honest with you. Like I told you, when you watch the playoffs and you see the skill sets of these quarterbacks, the way and just physically, he just doesn't match with them at all. I mean, and all these guys, the Burrows, the Allens, the Mahomes, they're physically strong. The Lamar Jackson.
You know what they do? They continue plays. Like they keep things going. Like they get a little pressure, and that doesn't mean the play's over. Mac gets a little pressure, it's over.
Yeah. He seems that, and I'm wrong now. His ceiling is a mid-tier quarterback in this league.
I think it's Kirk Cousins. I think he's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Right. I think the 10th best quarterback in the league, give and take. He can go out and in any given week be a top 5 quarterback, but he can also be a number 23.
Yeah, you can see that the Super Bowl has been littered with Jared Goffs and Matthew Staffords and guys that aren't elite quarterbacks.
That number is under pressure. That's a scary number.
It is. Yeah, that means you have to prop him up a little. He can't do it by himself. So they have to realize, and I think between the draft and free agency, they can really, and they've got a couple of young guys in that offensive line already. They can really do a nice job there for short money.
Let's look at the quarterbacks who went far into the playoffs. I bet those guys are all the top of that number, right?
Yes, Burrow has probably the worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah.
Yet he did very well, and he probably should have been Super Bowl quarterback this year without some help from the referees.
Scotty, let's take can you envision the Patriots winning a Super Bowl with Mac Jones? Scott.
Yeah, no, I can't right now. I really can't. I think I can't. I just think also maturity wise, I don't know if I've seen too much of a quarterback act that way during the course of a season, forgetting about the Patriots, about any team. And clearly there were people who on that, on the sidelines who said, stop doing it. And he still did it. And he still continued to do it. And he's a guy who, played in Alabama, so he understands the shiny lights on the sidelines are just as bright as in between the numbers, and he still did it. I don't know how that plays in the NFL.
Timmy, can they win a Super Bowl with Mac Jones?
Not after what I saw in the playoffs. That like we talked about, those guys that keep the play going, they pull a rabbit out of their hat a few times a game. Mac Jones pulls 0 rabbits out of the hat. I say no. I think they'll be lucky to get into the playoffs with Mac Jones.
Joe.
I don't think you could win a Super Bowl with him, but I think he can get you to the playoffs, a la your comparison, Kirk Cousins. I don't think he can take any further than that, to be honest. So
The answer is yes, they can. That's the correct
Wow.
answer. They can win a
Wow,
Super Bowl with
that's-
Mac
oh,
Jones. You guys are all
wow.
wrong. If I think they can, but I think Joe's point is you got to give them a really good offensive line, and they've got an offensive coordinator and a an upgrade on their weapons. Doesn't have to be complete remake of their weapons, and I think they can win a Super Bowl based on how we saw him play his first year.
Russell, there will be no one happier than me to see that come true.
I hope they can,
I just don't think it's going to happen.
they need a couple of playmakers to make the plays for him. He's not the kind of guy that makes people better. Other people make him better.
Exactly, Joe. Exactly. They're not going to go out and get.
They need a tight end in this draft. I
Not
don't.
all of a sudden going to show up with 4 like top flight receivers
But they need playmakers. They need.
I'm on Team Mac.
Broncos are walking in that door any day now. You know,
I'm the only one on Team Mac. This is very interesting. I was probably his biggest critic.
He's out on an island.
Doc, I'm sure. I
was
don't know what
probably-
you see, Russell. I am perplexed at what you see in him that can make.
What I've seen when he's played well is he's an incredibly accurate passer who reads a defense, can change a play at the line of scrimmage, get guys in and out of plays that they need to. And I think that's
a very
good
poor
enough.
job in the red
It's
zone.
kind of Drew Breesy if you give him a couple of good receivers, right?
Yeah,
Very
They're
poor
going to
job
give
in the
him a
red
couple
zone.
of good receivers. That's not the Patriot way. They're not going to give him a couple of good receivers.
So now, anytime Mac fails, we turn to Russ for explanation.
yeah. I'm on Team Mac. I'm surprised because I
Well,
was
let me
his
start.
biggest critic. I was his biggest critic during the year, and Scotty was his biggest supporter. And Scotty's flipped, and I
am
flipped a little
flipped.
bit.
But
I
I don't know
flipped-
what you saw to change your mind. What did you see?
I didn't see much this year, but I don't think he had much of a chance. I think it was a complete bleep show. That offense was a joke. It was
The
pathetic.
offensive line wasn't bad, and it turned out to be very good compared to the rest of the league. It just he has no this with Harris hurt and Kendrick Bourne not playing for whatever reason. The only 2 players, the playmakers on that offense, were out of commission.
Well, look, I mean, the Kansas City, who won the Super Bowl, compare their defense with the Patriots. Are they that much better?
No, they're not that much better.
No.
Yeah.
I thought that did the Patriots have a Super Bowl caliber defense in this year?
I don't know. The linebackers were too slow.
Yeah.
I think that would have been that would have ended up being the death of them.
And their defensive line is a little is light.
Yeah.
You know who might be a good free agent? That kid from Philly looked awful good in the middle there. That 305-pounder.
Yeah.
Had like 11, 12 sacks this year. That shows
So-
me some speed.
Here's breaking news from the Grandstanders sports desk. The Broncos have interviewed Matt Patricia for defensive coordinator.
Oh, you've got to be kidding!
Can I buy him a ticket? I'll pay for the ticket.
Well, Sean Payton is good friends with Bill Belichick. They found a landing spot for him.
Oh, my-
Did they miss
Oh my
that?
God!
Well, remember, it wasn't that long ago that Sean Payton was supposedly had a full staff, like Vic Fangio was coming with them and everything. And then
Oh,
all these guys
wow.
disappeared.
Oh, wow. And apparently,
Matt Patricia carries that game on tape in his pocket, the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl, and shows that, you know.
yeah, right. Yeah, he doesn't mention that game. Sean, apparently, Sean Payton doesn't even want Russell Wilson as the quarterback, and they're trying to shop him already. They literally gave up half the team for him.
They gave up like 3 first-round picks.
That
for him.
team is so screwed. There's arguably no team in recent professional sports history that's screwed more than the Broncos are right now. And if Sean Payton can rescue them out of that nosedive, he should get
Coach
5 straight Coach of the Years.
Yeah,
John Elway has screwed them.
Oh my God!
Screwed.
Remember, this reminds me of Ted Septian. Remember from the Cavaliers?
Yeah. Yeah, they
What did
made a
what
rule.
did they- what did they give up to get him? They gave up like the farm, right?
Yeah.
Gave up the farm, and then Timmy, they paid
All-pro
him,
player.
and then they gave him guaranteed money. They paid him like $240 million up front, basically.
And then Deshaun Watson, who, oh my God, we were groveling over a year into. We would have given up everything for him. The Browns look like fools too, because they gave up all these picks, but they also gave him like 240
They
million.
gave him a ton of money.
He's going to
Yep.
have the highest cap number by more like almost 69 million next year.
Yeah, I saw that in the next few years. He has like a 60+ million,
Mhm.
right, Joe? 60+ million cap number.
So can you blame Lamar Jackson for like doing what he's doing? I mean, he's looking at
No.
what these guys who aren't the
And
players.
if they don't give him the exclusive tag, plenty of teams will give up 2 first-round picks.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, we'll do that in a second.
Do it in a heartbeat.
They'll give him so much guaranteed money. Somebody will give him so much guaranteed money. It's ridiculous.
All right, boys, before we go, we have to go one more question. Who's going from the Patriots to free up some more space? Lots of rumors right now that Hunter Henry goes. So I'm going to pick Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Russ, you agree?
I actually would pick him too. Yep.
Yeah. Joe?
Oh, and not you hated Jonnu Smith, right? But obviously Isaiah Wynn's gone. Maybe Trent Brown.
Too much dead money, Joe.
Yeah.
Way too much dead money to get rid of Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, they're stuck with him.
Trent Brown might be gone.
No, Brown's going to stay because his numbers luxury.
He's very low. He's
for the
only
cap.
like
I think that's a big hit if we have to get rid of Henry. It's a big hit.
No, I don't think so. I think they.
No. I don't mean financially. I mean as a team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that.
yeah, he wasn't much of a blocker. Not much of a catcher either.
But otherwise, he was a
I
good
still have
player.
some hope for the guy. I don't
Yeah.
know
All
why.
right, boys, that's our
There's
show.
supposed to be a lot of tight ends coming out in the draft, Tim, that you might be able to find, and that addresses the offensive line and the receivers all at once.
We can't do much worse than we've been doing.
No, we failed, and hopefully O'Brien brings in some good guys for us. All right, well, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night. All right, boys.
Yeah.